Okay, sometimes it may not be like a public fight on the first date because they're just getting to know each other, but more often than not, it's a bad vibration.
Okay.
Like, okay, the girl is just feeling like, uh, halfway through the meal, she's not feeling the conversation, she's not feeling his energy, and she's just like starting to look at her watch now, and it's like, I think I got to bounce. I don't need to torture myself anymore. He seems like a nice guy. Nothing wrong with the guy.
Okay.
He's not being rude. He's not being obnoxious. I just don't feel the vibe. So, and he's still expected to pay for the dinner. Or should the woman say, well, look, I tell you what, let me just pay for my half of the dinner. I'm just not, and should she be honest with him and say, look, I'm not feeling this?
You bring up a good point. I think that it would be nice if she offered to pay for her half of the meal and excuse herself, explaining that, this just isn't working for me for whatever reason. She doesn't have to give any real excuses, but to offer to pay her half would be a good idea. But that should not be an expectation. That's, in my opinion, not part of the deal. I don't think that it's expected that she should pay her half because she's not quote unquote feeling it. But I think that it would be a good idea for her to offer.
Okay, now should the woman pay for the pleasure of the man if it's a pleasurable experience? Because, a lot of people feel as though, okay, a man has to pay for the dinner because he's paying for the pleasure that's associated with the woman's presence. Now, shouldn't the woman say, I'll tell you what, I enjoyed myself and I had the pleasure of being with him. I did get pleasure out of that. So the guy says, okay, well, since you got pleasure out of me, then you pay for the dinner. Why can't you pay for the pleasure of my presence? Because some men are funny, some men are fun, some men are gentlemen, some men know how to entertain. They go through a lot of trouble getting dressed up. They may have parked a $150,000 automobile outside. They may be wearing some expensive cologne. They may have had, some esthetician do their face, may have gotten a haircut, and they may have put in all the investments the same way the woman has, and the woman had a great time. So since she had a wonderful time, the guy says, well, instead of me paying for the pleasure of your presence, why don't you pay for the pleasure of my presence? Because you got pleasure out of it. You had a great time. And the girl admits, yes, I did have a great time.
Jay, that sounds good if this were a Hallmark movie, but no. If she would like to see him again and he doesn't offer to take her out again, she could go ahead and say, I had such a good time. I would love to take you out. But I think that men in general would be insulted if a woman said, oh, thank you for taking me out. I'll pay for it. I really believe that men would find that insulting.
Okay, but we're talking about justice here. And we're talking about justice in even scales. That's all I'm saying here. Because the man says, I had the pleasure of your presence and I'm paying for the dinner. The woman says, but I had the pleasure of your presence, I'm paying for the dinner.
I don't think that's how it should work. I think that if she really enjoyed herself, then okay, he gave me a nice dinner. I will offer to give him a nice dinner in return.
Mm-hmm.
But to say, oh no, you asked me out and I got more out of it than you did, that's insulting to him.
Okay, but what if it's not insulting to the man? What if there are some men out there that would say, I'm not insulted by that at all. Since you're honest enough to tell me that you enjoyed my presence and you enjoyed the dinner and you're willing to pay, I don't have a problem with you paying. So if the man says, okay, you can pay, I have no problem with that whatsoever. So is there a problem with a man saying he doesn't have a problem with her paying? And what is the problem?
The problem is she's setting a poor example for not only other women, but for men who think, okay, well, I should always be taken out for dinner. I should always have the woman pay because I'm worth it.